For years, the house stood quietly among neighboring homes, appearing from the outside to be just another ordinary residence. People passed by without realizing that behind its walls, a heartbreaking situation was unfolding. Then, in a single day, everything changed. What authorities discovered inside would shock the local community and quickly make headlines across the country. 16 children were found living in conditions that officials described as severely neglected and unsafe, prompting an immediate emergency response and a major child welfare investigation. First responders entered the home expecting to conduct a routine welfare check. Instead, they encountered an environment that raised immediate concerns for the children's health and safety. Reports from investigators described the living conditions as deplorable, with the home showing signs of extreme neglect. Officers and child protection workers acted quickly, recognizing that the children required immediate medical attention, proper care, and a safe place to stay. The discovery left even experienced investigators shaken. Cases involving child neglect are always difficult, but the number of children involved made this situation especially alarming. Authorities worked carefully to account for every child, ensuring each one was safely removed from the property and evaluated by medical professionals. Child welfare agencies coordinated with emergency responders to provide food, clean clothing, health care, and temporary shelter while the investigation began. As news of the rescue spread, the surrounding community struggled to understand how such conditions could have existed without wider awareness. Neighbors expressed disbelief, wondering whether there had been warning signs that went unnoticed. Across social media and television broadcasts, people reacted with a mixture of shock, sadness, and concern for the children's future. While investigators began gathering evidence and determining how long the children had been living under these conditions, one priority stood above all others: protecting the children and ensuring they received the care and support they needed. The discovery served as a powerful reminder that behind closed doors, vulnerable children can sometimes endure unimaginable hardships, making community awareness and timely intervention essential to preventing similar tragedies. Authorities did not simply stumble upon the children by chance. According to publicly reported information, the discovery occurred after concerns about the home prompted law enforcement and child welfare officials to investigate. Acting on information that suggested the children's well-being might be at risk, officers responded to the property to conduct a welfare check. These checks are designed to ensure that children or vulnerable individuals are safe when credible concerns are raised about their living conditions or care. When officials arrived, they began assessing the situation and quickly realized that the circumstances inside the home were far more serious than initially expected. As they moved through the residence, they found numerous children living together in an environment that investigators later described as unsafe and severely neglected. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, officers immediately requested additional assistance from emergency responders, child protective services, and medical personnel. The priority shifted from investigating the home to protecting the children. Authorities carefully identified each child, ensuring that no one was overlooked. Medical teams conducted initial health assessments to determine whether any of the children required urgent treatment, while child welfare workers focused on providing reassurance and arranging temporary care. Every step was taken with the children's safety and emotional well-being in mind. Once the children had been safely removed from the residence, investigators secured the property to document the conditions inside. Photographs, physical evidence, and witness statements became part of a broader investigation aimed at understanding how the situation had developed and whether any laws had been violated. Officials also began interviewing adults connected to the household while coordinating with prosecutors and child welfare agencies. The discovery highlighted the importance of community vigilance. Welfare checks often begin because someone notices unusual circumstances and decides to report them. While not every report uncovers serious neglect, authorities encourage people to speak up when they have genuine concerns about a child's safety. In this case, that intervention ultimately led to the children being removed from an environment officials believed posed significant risks to their health and welfare, allowing them to begin receiving the care and protection they needed. According to statements released by investigators, the home's condition raised immediate concerns for the health and safety of everyone inside. Officials described the environment as deplorable, a term they reserve for situations involving severe neglect and conditions that fall well below basic standards of safe living. While investigators have continued documenting evidence, they indicated that the condition of the residents required urgent intervention to protect the children. As officers and child welfare workers moved through the home, they observed conditions that they believed posed potential health risks. The residents reportedly showed signs of poor sanitation and neglect, leading authorities to determine that the children could not safely remain there while the investigation continued. Because the case involves minors, officials have not publicly disclosed every detail about the interior of the home, choosing instead to focus on protecting the children's privacy and the integrity of the investigation. Emergency responders acted quickly after evaluating the scene. Their immediate priority was removing the children from the residence and ensuring they received medical evaluations, food, clean clothing, and a safe place to stay. Child welfare professionals also began assessing each child's physical and emotional needs, recognizing that children removed from neglectful environments often require ongoing support beyond their immediate rescue. Investigators documented the home's condition through photographs, evidence collection, and detailed reports that will likely become part of the legal process. Those findings are expected to help determine whether criminal charges or other legal actions are appropriate. Authorities emphasized that the investigation is intended not only to establish what occurred, but also to ensure the children's long-term safety. The case serves as a reminder that neglect is not always immediately visible from outside a home. Some families may appear ordinary to neighbors, while serious problems remain hidden behind closed doors. For that reason, officials encourage members of the public to report credible concerns about child welfare rather than assuming someone else will act. Early intervention can make a critical difference, giving vulnerable children the opportunity to receive protection, medical care, and the support they need to begin recovering in a safer environment. Once authorities determined that the children were living in conditions they believed were unsafe, the situation quickly shifted from an investigation to an emergency rescue effort. Law enforcement officers, emergency medical personnel, and child welfare professionals worked together to remove every child from the home as safely and calmly as possible. Their primary objective was to protect the children while minimizing additional fear or trauma during an already overwhelming experience. Officers carefully escorted the children out of the residence one by one, making sure each child was accounted for. Medical teams conducted initial health assessments at the scene, checking for signs of illness, injury, dehydration, or other immediate medical concerns. Any child requiring further evaluation was transported to a medical facility, while others were placed under the care of Child Protective Services to ensure their basic needs were met without delay. Child welfare workers played a vital role throughout the operation. They spoke with the children in an age-appropriate and reassuring manner, explaining that they were being taken somewhere safe. Clean clothing, food, water, and comfort items were provided as quickly as possible, recognizing that many of the children may have been frightened or confused by the sudden presence of emergency responders. At the same time, investigators secured the property to preserve evidence. Detectives documented the condition of the home, photographed relevant areas, and began collecting information that could help determine how long the children had been living in those circumstances. Witness interviews and evidence collection started immediately, laying the foundation for the ongoing investigation. Once all of the children had been safely removed, authorities coordinated with local child protection agencies to arrange temporary placements, while officials worked to identify appropriate long-term care options. Medical professionals, social workers, and counselors were brought in to evaluate each child's physical health and emotional well-being, understanding that recovery from neglect often requires continued support. The operation reflected the coordinated efforts of multiple agencies working toward a single goal, ensuring that every child was safe. While the investigation into the circumstances surrounding the home continued, the successful removal of the children marked the beginning of a new chapter focused on protection, care, and the hope of a safer future. The discovery of 16 children living in conditions that authorities described as deplorable is more than a single criminal investigation. It is a reminder of a broader responsibility shared by every community. While law enforcement and child welfare agencies play a critical role in protecting vulnerable children, they cannot do it alone. Teachers, healthcare workers, neighbors, relatives, and community members are often the first to notice when something seems wrong. Paying attention to warning signs and reporting genuine concerns can make the difference between continued suffering and timely intervention. One of the most important lessons is that appearances can be misleading. A house may look ordinary from the outside while serious neglect or abuse remains hidden within its walls. This reality challenges the assumption that someone else will notice or that authorities are already aware of the situation. In many cases, child welfare investigations begin because one person chose to speak up after observing something unusual. Although not every report uncovers abuse or neglect, making a good faith report allows trained professionals to assess whether children are safe. The case also highlights the importance of investing in child protection services. Social workers, emergency responders, healthcare professionals, and law enforcement officers often face demanding workloads while responding to complex situations involving vulnerable children. Providing these professionals with adequate training, staffing, and resources strengthens their ability to respond quickly and effectively when concerns arise. Communities that support these services are better equipped to protect children before situations become severe. Another lesson is that rescuing children is only the beginning. Recovery from neglect often requires ongoing medical care, counseling, educational support, and stable living environments. Children who have experienced prolonged hardship may need months or even years of consistent care to regain a sense of safety and normalcy. Ensuring that these services remain available is an essential part of helping them heal and build healthier futures. Ultimately, this case serves as a powerful reminder that every child deserves a safe home, proper care, and the opportunity to grow in a healthy environment. Protecting children is not solely the responsibility of government agencies, it is a shared commitment that depends on awareness, compassion, and the willingness of ordinary people to act when they have credible concerns about a child's well-being. The discovery of 16 children living in conditions that authorities considered unsafe is a sobering reminder that some of the most serious hardships can remain hidden behind closed doors. While the investigation will determine the legal responsibilities of those involved, the immediate focus has rightly been on ensuring the children's safety, health, and well-being. Their removal from the home marked the end of one difficult chapter, but it also signaled the beginning of a long journey toward recovery, stability, and hope. Cases like this often leave communities asking the same difficult questions. How could this happen? Were there warning signs that went unnoticed? Could earlier intervention have changed the outcome? While there are rarely simple answers, these questions encourage communities to reflect on the importance of remaining attentive to the welfare of children and supporting the systems designed to protect them. It is also important to remember that every child deserves more than just survival. Every child deserves a safe place to sleep, nutritious food, access to health care, education, emotional support, and the opportunity to grow in an environment free from fear and neglect. When those basic needs are not met, the effects can extend far beyond childhood, influencing physical health, emotional development, and future opportunities. That is why protecting children is one of society's most important responsibilities. The professionals who responded to this case, including law enforcement officers, emergency medical personnel, child welfare workers, and healthcare providers, demonstrated the value of coordinated action during a crisis. Their efforts ensured that the children were removed from immediate danger and connected with the care and protection they needed. At the same time, the ongoing investigation seeks to establish the facts and ensure accountability through the legal process. As the case moves forward, the focus should remain on the children's recovery rather than the headlines. They deserve privacy, compassion, and every opportunity to heal from their experiences. Their story is not only a reminder of the consequences of severe neglect, but also a call for continued vigilance, community awareness, and support for child protection efforts. By working together and taking credible concerns seriously, communities can help ensure that vulnerable children are identified sooner, protected more quickly, and given the chance to build safer, healthier, and brighter futures.